Good morning. I'm Ruth Van Lillian, the minister of this congregation, and we'd like to welcome you to our online worship service at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Tuscaloosa. We are a covenantal community founded on love and a common devotion to our free faith. We recognize all the earth as sacred ground, and wherever we are physically this morning, we welcome each other into this virtual space. We especially welcome those visiting with us online this morning. We're so glad that you are with us. We invite you to connect with our congregation in the comments below, or via email or phone or Facebook. You will find the necessary information in the order of service link found below in the video description.
Good morning. I'm Melissa Barksdale, the lay service leader for today. There's a link in our order of service in the video description below, along with our other useful information. Our annual congregational meeting is scheduled for Sunday, April 26th, following the worship service. Current circumstances dictate that this will be an online meeting using Zoom. Please check your email for the meeting documents. Also, the board will host an informational session on Sunday, April 19th to answer any questions. Our church website and Facebook page have information about all our new online activities. Also, members and friends should read all Newsnet emails to stay updated on congregational matters. The prelude prepares us for the service.
Good morning, we are Socialism, and we are lighting this morning chalice.
We light the chalice at the beginning of worship to set apart the space for worship, and we invite you at home to light a candle, light a chalice, burn some incense, spray some air freshener, whatever you need to do to set apart this time at home for worship with your community.
We light this chalice as a beacon of our faith and as a reminder of our commitment to a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We worship together by celebrating that which is sacred to us individually and collectively.
Our opening words are call and response. I invite you to respond, "You are welcome among us." If you are a seeker, a questioner, a believer, or an unbeliever, you are welcome among us. No matter your national origin or ethnic background, you are welcome among us. No matter your race or the color of your skin, you are welcome among us. No matter your sexual orientation or gender identity, you are welcome among us. No matter your education or income, you are welcome among us. Whoever you are, whatever you are, wherever you are on your journey, you are welcome among us.
Where
we gather in loving community, we remember that we do not travel this earth alone. We share our lives as we light candles and hold each other in meditative thought and reverence. I will light a candle here in my home as you light a candle in yours, and we will observe a moment of silence while you share your joys and burdens by replying in the comments below and engage with each other in celebration and condolence. I will now light a final candle for all burdens and celebrations shared in our virtual space and those that went unspoken. May the warm light of these flames bring us peace.
Let us spend a few moments of silence as we think about all the joys and concerns that have been mentioned and have gone unspoken today. Then I will close us with a few words. We are made of the dust of distant suns, and we breathe molecules of oxygen from the dawn of the earth. We are connected with everything that lives, that has lived, that will ever live. Let us find comfort and strength this day in remembering that we are never really alone. We have each other's company on the journey. And right now, remembering that is very important. Amen. Shalom. Blessed be.
Stretch. Illustrated by Vin Vogel and written by Louis Brandon. Hey! When Sophia and Maddie played at the park, they stretched their toes to the sky. They climbed to the top of the ladder and flew off the end of the slide. They stayed until the buildings grew long shadows and even the taxi stopped honking. Let's play on the climbing wall, Maya said. No way, Sophia said. I can't reach. Yes way. Maddie scooted up to the top of the wall. Your turn. Sophia put a foot on the bottom rock, grabbed with one hand, and stretched. She couldn't reach the next hole. Sophia's stomach growled. I give up. Let's get a snack. No way, Maddie said. Let's stay here. Yes way. Sophia ran to Maddie's building and raced up the stairs. Wait! Maddie ran after her. Maddie was the best climber, but Sophia was the fastest runner. Sophia swung open the door of Maddie's fridge. What have you got? We have milk, Maddie said. I'm saving it for the little Ryan. He's still little. Why doesn't your mom go to the store? Sophia asked. We don't have enough money. What if you get hungry? We have some bread, Maddie said. I guess I'll go home to eat. Sophia said, Please don't tell anyone, Maddie said. Okay. Promise? I promise. Sophia ran home past the bookstore and grocery store. She went down the building and took behind the buildings and took all the colors with it. Good timing, Mom said. Dinner's almost ready. Luis was wrestling on the floor with Pepito. Sophia opened the refrigerator door. Pepito peeked inside. Sophia's fridge was full of milk and eggs and tortillas and cheese and lettuce and jam and salsa and tofu and even half a can of dog food. Here you go, Mom said. Sophia and Luis each had a plate of fish and rice. Mom had a plate of fish and rice. Even Pepito had his own bowl of dog food with a little bit of fish and rice. Maddie and Ryan only had some bread and a small carton of milk. Sophia couldn't tell Mom. She had to keep a promise to Maddie. Not fish again, Luis said. I want cheesy pizza bombs. Cheesy pizza bombs are a treat, Mom said. Fish is a good source of protein. Is fish good for kids? Sophia asked. Yes, Mom smiled. Fish is perfect for kids. That night, Sophia had an idea. Yuck, Maddie said the next day. Oh, Sophia said, double yuck. Fish may be good for kids. Fish is not good for backpacks. After school, Sophia and Maddie raced to the climbing wall. Sophia got there first, but Maddie scrambled past her to the top of the wall. Sophia stretched and stretched. Keep trying, Maddie said. You'll get it. I can't, Sophia jumped down. It's too high. That night, Sophia, Luis, and Mom ate frittata. Pepito had his dog food with a little bit of frittata. Maddie and Ryan still had an empty refrigerator. Sophia couldn't ask for help. That would break her promise. She had to try again. Are eggs good for kids? Sophia asked. Not as good as cheesy pizza bombs, Luis said. Cheesy pizza bombs are a treat, Mom said. Eggs are good for you. After dinner, Sophia packed eggs for Maddie and Ryan. Yuck, Maddie said. Double yuck, Sophia said. Eggs may be good for kids, but eggs are not good for backpacks. Sophia and Maddie raced to the climbing wall. Sophia won again, but Maddie shot past her into the top of the wall. Maddie grabbed one hold, reached for the next, and came down with a thump. That happens sometimes, Maddie called. This is impossible, Sophia said. Keep trying, Maddie said. You'll get it. That night, Sophia, Luis, and Mom had burritos. Pepito has dog food with a little bit of burritos and no salsa. Maddie and Ryan still had an empty fridge. Sophia wished she hadn't promised Maddie. Are burritos good for kids? Sophia asked. These are very good for you, Mom said. Not as good as, Luis started to say. You should pay attention to nutrient like your sister, Mom said. The next morning, Sophia put 2 burritos in her backpack, along with tortillas, beans, cheese, and even some milk. No thanks, Maddie said. Have you even looked? Sophia asked. Is it fish? Maddie asked. No. Is it eggs? No. Is it gross? I don't know, Sophia said. Maddie shook the backpack. Something sloshed. Let's look together, Maddie said. 1, 2, 3, go! Burritos are good for kids and good for backpacks, too. Do you want some milk? Sophia asked. Thanks, Maddie said, but I'll save the milk for Ryan. Sophia and Maddie raced up the climbing wall. Sophia won as usual and tried to climb. You can do it, Maddie said. Take my hand. Woohoo, I made it to the top, Sophia shouted. We're the tallest kids in the park, Maddie said. Thanks for helping me, Maddie. Couldn't do it alone. Maddie shrugged. That's what friends are for. After they finished playing, Sophia walked home past the bookstore and the grocery store. Home fridge was full of milk and juice and chicken and yogurt and bread and carrots and even half a can of dog food. Maddie's fridge only had 2 tortillas, a cup of beans, and a bit of cheese, and a little more milk than before. She thought. Sophia didn't... Sophia didn't want to break her promise, but she couldn't hold Maddie alone. Sophia told. She hoped Maddie wouldn't be mad. I'm glad you told me, Mom said. Let's see what we can do together. They loaded grocery bags with milk, flour, chicken, carrots, sugar, oil, and even frozen meat and vegetables. Louise pulled his package of cheesy pizza bombs out of the freezer. He thought some more. Then he put his cheesy pizza bombs in Maddie and Ryan's bag. For a treat, he said. At Maddie's apartment, the moms talked. Louise and Ryan played. Sophia and Maddie ran to the party. You broke your promise, Maddie said. I'm sorry, Sophia said. Are you mad? Promise is important, Maddie said. You're more important. I wanted you to have milk too. Maddie smiled. Are we still friends? Sophia asked. Always, Maddie said. Double, always, Sophia said. Cheesy pizza bombs, Louise yelled. Our mom made cheesy pizza bombs for a treat. Sophia and Maddie raced up the stairs. Sophia slowed down. So now you could run together. That's what friends are for. Maddie's Fridge, written by Louise Brandon and illustrated by Van Vogel.
It's time for this morning's offering. Out of gratitude for all we have been given and all we have now, we share our resources because we love and trust each other, and because this church enriches our lives and empowers us to make the world better. We rely upon each other, members and friends, and we appreciate the payment of pledges and the generous donations to support the legacy, vision, and work of this church community. Contributions may be made by PayPal by using the link below in the description or by mailing checks to UUCT. All undesignated contributions will be divided between our Split the Plate recipient organization and our congregation. Our Split the Plate partner for this month will be shown on the screen as you're listening to this. Please mark your pledge payment to UUCT in the comments field on PayPal or in the memo line on your check. If you prefer to write a check to the selected organization, please mail it directly to the address that we include in the description of this video. The offertory music will continue in this window as you open a new window to make your contributions.
And care for failure's pain and loss. For each new thing we learn, for faithful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks for all that is our life.
By the work of our hands and the generosity of our hearts, our love is made real. We thank you for these gifts.
Good morning, everybody. I just want to thank you for joining us here today and listening to what I'm going to talk about today. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Ian Barksdale, and I've been a member of the church for a while now. And so today I'm going to talk a little bit about what I call the faith of socialism. And this does relate back a little bit to a previous topic that I talked about at church regarding the poor and basically issues regarding us as a society supporting the poor. And I also think that this talk is also going to relate quite a bit to basically our current circumstances that we're going through, and some examples that have been shown to us in regards to basically the S word of socialism. So we should probably start off a little bit by what do I mean by socialism as we're talking about it today. So first of all, we can set it up right away that I'm not talking about Marxism, or we're not going to be looking at issues of proletariat and people owning all the means of production and anti-privatization and those issues. That's another talk completely. What I'm really looking at today is what recently people have really been referring to as basically a social democracy, or socialistic democratism, whatever combination they want to talk about it. That's really what I'm talking about today. And so my definition of this, basically social democracy, this type of socialism, first of all deals with really what should we expect from our society and from our government in what's really for us becoming very much a post-industrial culture. We still have production and industries working in the United States, of course, in our culture, but a lot of things that we know have been moving away from that to service and technology industries. And so what do we expect? Just first of all, from our society and from government, and then we'll move into what do faiths really have to say about that? And is there kind of a disconnect between people of faith in America and the concept of socialism, as I'm describing it and defining it here? We can go back for us, really to the Constitution. We are what I refer to as a people of the document, or a culture of the document being the Constitution that set up our country and the way it works, and what we really should be expecting for government. And it's right there in the preamble, really, and there's a combination of ideas that are put forward in the Constitution regarding what really links back to the idea of the socialism that I'm talking about. So first of all, the Constitution set up to, just in general, establish justice. And if we know a little bit about history, we know why. There was a lot of injustice in the states in relation to the crown at the time. So that was a big issue, people wanting justice to ensure domestic tranquility. Okay, so that's just saying, obviously, to ensure the tranquility on our shores, okay, in our nation. The next line really, I think, really kind of hits it, to be honest, and I think a lot of interpretation has just kind of been run under the bus or whatnot for the government set up to promote the general welfare. And remember, it starts off as we the people. So we know this is government being set up to promote the general welfare of the people, not of a, kind of a few, a little top layer, but the people as a whole. and of course, then to secure the blessings of liberty or freedom. So welfare, the state of doing well, or aid for those in need. And obviously one could argue that part of the state of doing well in general is, if you are in need, is getting the aid in need in order to have that be in that state of being well. So we're really, once again, looking at the needs of the people. So what are the needs of people? So basic needs: food, water, shelter, human contact. Could turn that into, maybe expand that, so we have basic needs, then maybe we just have kind of modern core needs. So we need transportation. We have to have jobs. We can't just work in the fields and be self-sustaining on our own homesteads. So we need to be able to get from place to place. We need to be able to get to our jobs. Communication. We know this is pretty much vital in our world today. Being able to easily communicate with others and get information that we need. One would also argue, in our modern society, education. Really a core need. We need our citizenship to be educated, and not just from K through 12 anymore. Really, up through college. If the insistence of our culture as a whole is that college is what you need to have in order to gain your other basic needs through your work, then we should really be providing for that as well. So the main thing is, we've looked at here that as far as socialism goes, and this idea of social democracy and meeting the people's needs at all levels, our Constitution actually calls for it. What's been needed throughout the centuries since the Constitution's been written, that has changed. But the concept of that Constitution, of promoting the general welfare and ensuring domestic tranquility of the people, that has not changed. Just what that means for what you need to have in our society now, that's changed. And so that's about, obviously, the political aspect. But what about the faith aspect? Just like I did last time, I'm going to look at 4 faiths here. I can span out to many others. They all kind of say the same thing, one way or another, about that. And so we're going to start simply with Judaism. And it's pretty plain and simple. In the Judaic law, they had a tithe specifically for charity. And it's tzedakah. And that is exactly what it's for. Taking a portion of what you have, 10% actually was what was called for, and giving that to charity, directly to help with the welfare of those around you, those in need, to make sure everyone has what they need to live their lives. And so, really, with this faith of socialism, there's really, if you look at these scriptures of faith, there's not a whole lot of interpretation going on here. It's all pretty straightforward. Here's what you need to do as a person of this faith community. So, pretty straight up Judaism, right there. You got to tithe out. You've got to help people. You've got to, basically, these are all aimed at kind of leveling that playing field, making sure no one goes wanting for what the needs are. Now, at the time these texts were written, of course, needs were simpler. Things were much easier to kind of get to these small, limited populations and spread and kind of even out this wealth. So let's jump up a little while into history and move to Christianity next. Well, there you even have you have a base to work off of, the Judaic texts of the Old Testament. So already we have these Judaic injunctions to tithe a portion of what you have, what you bring in, out into the community, out for charity, for those in need. sometimes you'll see articles or discussions about that replacing the word need with want, but we're really getting needs, not wants, not luxuries, but the necessities, and getting those for each, what they mean each time in history. When we move past the Judaic texts in Christianity, we start looking at the texts of the New Testament and basically concepts that are attributed to Jesus Christ. And the concepts of love thy neighbor as thyself. These are not difficult things. These are not like something unknown that's buried in the text. This is what people talk about quite often. And you can find a sermon on these, no doubt, on YouTube, just simply by searching the phrase, love thy neighbor as thyself. And just different stories about Christ and the nature of kind of what he was doing within his ministry at the time and what he was battling against. So the story of the Good Samaritan, people passing this person by, and the idea is, well, you don't just keep passing this person by. It doesn't matter who they are, what they are. They're a person in need. You reach out. You do what's necessary to bring them up and provide for their needs and help them out. We get a lot of issues with the welfare state and all this, and people often go back to give a man fish and he's good for a day, teach a man to fish and he's good for his lifetime sort of thing. I think I really don't hear a lot of people talking about the miracle of loaves and fishes, where, I mean, yes, this was a miracle, but we can do this without miracles nowadays, of making sure everyone was fed, basically at a big event that there was not enough food. And texts really don't show Christ going, well, everyone get down there, go fishing, bring back this, hey, go make your bread. I'm not going to do anything for you. No, people were in need, and the loaves and fishes were provided for everyone. There were no strings attached to, okay, well, here's what you're going to have to do to get these. You need it, so I'm going to give it to you. So moving on from Christianity, we can move up to Islam, which one of the 5 pillars is almsgiving. And really, when we look at these faiths, that is the term that is applied often to this form of giving and charity is almsgiving. And it's usually it's more complicated when you really look into the texts than just saying, well, just give to the poor. That's what it's really about. Give to the poor, give to the needy, and just kind of stop there. Don't think about it much beyond that. Most of the text, there is a call for you to think about it, and often to think about your motives. What are your motives for the charity? So when we move into Islam, it's one I find it's a little more interesting. It's a little more technical, which is not surprising considering the time of history it was developed in, and basically you have a lot of merchant class involved in the development of Islam. And so we're really going to look at 3 here in Islam. One is zakat, and this is one I find most interesting because zakat is you taking a percentage of the wealth you have gained during the year that goes beyond what you need for just your basic life, for basic living. So if you're extremely wealthy, you've done extremely well, the expectation here is that you don't take it and you go buy another home. You've got 3 cars, well, you're going to go buy 5 cars, and I need 2 motorcycles, and I think I'll get a yacht while I'm at it. Obviously, it's the opposite of that, obviously. You take a percentage, and it's not even asking for, say, all of that, okay, everything beyond your needs. It's only asking for a percentage of what you've gained beyond what you need for basic needs, and taking that percentage and giving that to charity, basically. So taking that wealth and spreading it amongst those in need, kind of leveling out your community. So I guess I find that interesting because, let's face it, if we look at it, that's just a form of wealth tax, basically. Something which is, a very evil concept, obviously, at certain levels in our culture of, no, we're not going to do that. I think I mentioned a couple of the companies and people who own them who pretty much don't do anything as far as paying their zakat. Another part of Islamic giving actually goes back to the Judaic texts. And it's spelled a little differently because it's the difference between Aramaic and Arabic. But it's tzedakah. So it's this voluntary charity. Okay, this type of almsgiving that it's voluntary. And you're expected to give if you see those that are poor or needy. And so it's just what you do. That's what you're expected to do. I mean, we're looking at a pillar of a faith here that involves really kind of leveling out the community in what someone could refer to as a socialistic way, spreading out this wealth, taking what you have, giving to other people, and not expecting anything in return. And we also have the Sadaq al-Fitr, which at the end of Ramadan this happens, and this is given by all. Everyone basically gives to charity, spreads around the community. Now this one is particularly aimed at food when you look at the text, which is not surprising considering it comes at the end of Ramadan. But so here in Islam we have three distinct ways of giving back to the community and keeping things leveled out. All right, so Buddhism, Dana Paramita, refers to the perfection of giving. So not only does Buddhism have statements within their text that one should give, and particularly to the Sangha, which quite often is interpreted as simply purely like the monastic community, but in recent history it's really been expanded, and the idea to the community of the faithful, and even beyond that for some individuals as well. And it really, as far as the perfection of giving goes, we're really looking at why are you giving? And we don't have time to break that down because there are many levels in Buddhism of how you give. And really it goes from the more kind of selfish giving to purely selfless giving. But once again, the focus is still taking care of individuals in the community and making sure that everyone has what they need, basically regardless of who they are or what they're doing. So really, when we look at this faith of what I call the faith of socialism, you look at all these faiths and how they, talk about, what are we going to do for everyone? What are we going to do for the poor, for the widows, for these people really in need? That everything calls for taking care of these individuals and really for the society as a whole. And as history kind of marches on, and we can delve into these texts, and they provide kind of a path for being involved in a social democracy. Of course, some of these cultures in the past have had dictatorships and authoritarian regimes, but one way or another, really what we would call the welfare state is really supported and promoted by these faiths. And of course, what I would exhort people to do is, regardless of what faith you're following, is to really look at your texts and see what are you called to do. What are you called to do within your faith? What sort of freedoms and liberties and promotion of general welfare commands are within your faith. And when you look at that and see what you're called to do, then what are you going to do about it? What steps are you going to make? Are you going to do it within your faith, within your church, within what you're doing, within your spiritual community? Are you going to bring that farther out? Are you going to make, or at least try to make, your government, your local government, your state government, federal government, these other people who are in control of these aspects of our lives in the world we currently live in, are we going to make them responsible for basically living up to the documents and the multiple faiths that are within our country, within our culture, that really all call for this? And of course, we've seen it now. Ever since I've been young, it's always been, no, we can't do this. There's no way to do it. We recently had a Democratic candidate for the primaries talking about giving everyone money every month, 18 and up. Everyone will have, a certain amount of money that comes in from, taxpayers and gets redistributed. Very socialistic. But that idea was to give everyone enough to kind of be able to kind of meet those basic needs without having to really worry about, well, what about kind of my core needs? Then they can use their other income streams to support those core needs. And so everyone will have what they need to get along. And those who are exceptionally successful and are having all these resources themselves, they can help spread that out. And now we've seen that a lot of no's have recently come certain levels of yes. I think a lot of us have gotten at least a singular paycheck of money during this period from the government, not from our churches necessarily, or our spiritual communities, which I'm sure they're working on it too. I know some that I'm involved with are certainly working on that. But now we've seen the government kind of step in to make sure that people have what they need. Obviously, this is an exceptional time of need, and things are extremely strange. And this is certainly the biggest crisis I've ever lived through. And seeing that the government they can step up if they really want to. It seems like they can. We have some broken down infrastructure for sure in some areas, but it looks like they can, and hopefully this will kind of reveal to people some of the flaws that we've had in relation to taking the concept of socialism and just turning it into this evil monster that will lurk about, and if it gets too big, it will simply destroy our way of life in America and strip us of who and what we are. Obviously, from talking today, you would see that I would argue the opposite of that. That social democracy and what some people call the welfare state, negative manner, is actually a positive thing. It's something that we are capable of in our nation. We're one of the wealthiest nations in the world today. We have some of the wealthiest people in the world in our nation of wealth. And yet, we have people who don't have basic and core needs being met on a daily basis, and constantly seeing this high level in our society, getting everything they want and more, and just having these resources, these monetary resources, just sitting there, just doing nothing, sitting there, or maybe buying these far more than beyond basic and core needs. So I just want to say again, thank you for listening to me today. And I hope you all have a good rest of your quarantine. Obviously, who knows when this is going to all end, and we'll be able to get together once more and actually see each other and talk to each other in person. But I look forward to that day and seeing everybody. So until next time, have a good Sunday and have a good, like I said, rest of your quarantine.
The seas that wash us round about, the clouds that cover
distinguishing words with us.
As we extinguish this chalice flame, let us remember that we carry the light within ourselves, which brings healing to a broken world and hope for the days ahead.
Siblings and kindred, we are each engaged in the free and responsible search for truth and meaning in this difficult time. I hope that you can find truth and meaning even in the smallest things in your daily lives, and to remember that we are in this together.